Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. So before starting discussing about the course outline and our today's lecture, I would like to have my brief introduction with all of you. My name is Dr. Arshad Zahir. I did MBA from University of Arid Agriculture in 1999. Then I did MS E-Commerce and then MS Engineering Management from CASE, that is Center of Advanced Studies in Engineering, in affiliation with University of Engineering and Technology, TEXLA. Then I did PhD in Management Sciences, and luckily I got a scholarship from Higher Education Commission. So availing that scholarship, I successfully completed my PhD. And of course, God helped me and gave me courage to obtain this highly reputed degree. I have been working as reviewer for the different international journals, and currently I am working as a PhD and MPhil supervisors in different universities, and especially in the universities in the region of Islamabad and Rawalpindi. I have more than 30 publications in the national as well as the international journals. Most of the publications are in the international journals, and some of the publications are in high impact factor journals. I have 3 books published at my credit, and these books are being published in the form of monographs. And these books have been published by a German publisher. I have also published my articles in edited books, and these articles have been published by a Turkish university, that is Yaşar University. Students, I have attended many of the national and international conferences. Most importantly, I participated in some international conferences in USA, in Austria, in Turkey, in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. So I published and presented my research papers in the different countries of the world, and 2 of my papers have been awarded Best Paper Awards. One of them was presented in USA, and the other was presented in Austria. Then students, I have conducted many workshops, especially research-oriented workshops here in Islamabad and Rawalpindi, and some of these workshops have been conducted in order to train the teachers regarding that research methodology. And I have almost say 12 to 14 years experience, that is the administrative experience, working in private sector as well as in public sector. As far as teaching experience is concerned, I have been in touch with this profession for the last 10 to 12 years, and for the last 4 to 5 years I have been teaching at MS and PhD level in almost all the universities in Islamabad and Rawalpindi, most importantly in Iqra University, in Foundation University, Federal Urdu University, Air University, APCOMS, then Wish Institute, Rifa University, International Islamic University. So almost in all of the universities I have been teaching, mostly at MS and PhD level. My areas of interest are business process re-engineering, then business research, and most importantly that quantitative techniques which can be used in management for better decision making. I have used different research softwares like SPSS, AMOS, Visual Partial Least Squares. So I have arranged different workshops also regarding these research software usage. So students, this is my brief introduction. Now let's introduce you about the contents of our course outline, that is Operations Management course. Students, we will discuss the different topics of Operations Management. In our first lecture, that is in our today's lecture, we will discuss about the operations management concept, that what is the definition of operations and what is the definition of management, and by combining both of the definitions, that is of management and of the operations, we will try to develop the definition of operations management. So we will discuss the different important concepts of operations management, and we will discuss the different terminologies used in operations management, and we will also discuss some of the important challenges which are being faced by the operations managers in today's dynamic environment. The next topic is productivity measurement, another very important topic. In this topic we will discuss that what is the importance of productivity and what makes the productivity actually, and we will discuss the important factors which can affect the productivity. And again, students, all of the management activities are ultimately targeted to achieve the optimal productivity level in any organization. So important is this productivity concept, and again we will discuss that how we can actually measure the productivity. The next topic is competitiveness and strategy. In this topic we will discuss some important issues, that how the different organizations will be able to attain the competitive advantage for their organizations, then how the strategy can be helpful in achieving that particular competitive advantage. So we will discuss this competitiveness and strategy concepts in detail, and we will link it with the operations management, that why the competitiveness and strategy has the strategic importance with respect to the operations management. Then students, next topic is about management of quality. Again, a very important concept in every perspective of management, and also in that operations management perspective. We will try to define the quality, that what is quality, and we will discuss the different techniques, that how we can better manage the quality for our products and services. Most importantly, students, we will discuss some important techniques like quantitative techniques, like mathematical techniques, and as well as the diagrammatic techniques, that how we can use all of these techniques so that we can take some important decisions in order to improve the quality. So we will discuss some important techniques relating to the quality improvement and management. Then students, next topic is linear programming. Linear programming is again a mathematical technique which helps us to achieve the predetermined objectives of the organization. And what are the predetermined objectives of the organization? Most importantly, every manager, every operations manager is interested to maximize its profit and minimize its cost. So this is a very important technique which can quantitatively, with the help of the certain facts and figures, and with the help of some mathematics and statistical techniques, it will tell you that how we can maximize the profit and how we can minimize the cost. And we'll also discuss that how we can deal with the different sort of limitations or constraints, and within the constraints how we will be able to achieve the profit maximization or the cost minimization. Next topic is transportation models. In transportation model, we will discuss the cost of transportation from the different sources to the different destinations, and most importantly, how we will be able to minimize this cost of transportation from the different origins or the factories to the final destinations. So this model again will quantitatively guide us that how we can take the optimal decisions, and how we can decide about the particular transportation route for our goods, so that our total transportation cost may be minimized. Then students, we will discuss about the assignment methods, another very important technique which is used in operations management and operations research. Now again, this technique guides us that how to assign the different tasks and how to assign the different jobs to the different persons, so that our job may be completed within the minimum cost and within the minimum possible time. So if there are the different tasks and the different jobs, and we have to assign these tasks to the different persons, this assignment method can always be helpful for the operations manager to decide about that which tasks are to be assigned to which person. So is the importance and strategic importance, I would say, for this assignment methods. Then students will talk about forecasting. Now another very important concept used in operations management, and as a manager, whether you are operations manager or the marketing manager or some general manager or quality control manager, it is very important for you to forecast for the future, and this is actually a technique which helps us to predict for the future. And by using this technique, we can always forecast the demand of our products in future. And again, this technique can be helpful in forecasting any numerical value which can be of the interest for the operations management. Again, in forecasting, we will discuss some mathematical techniques, we will discuss some statistical techniques, as well as we can also do the forecasting with the help of certain diagrams, and we will discuss all of these diagrammatic techniques, quantitative techniques, that how we can have the forecast for our variable of interest in future. Then students, next topic is project management. Project management is generally taught as a subject at BBA level or MBA or MS level, but of course we will discuss some important topics and some important issues of project management which are directly related with operations management, and we will try to discuss some mathematical techniques or financial techniques like NPV, net present value, BCR, benefit cost ratio, internal rate of return, payback period, that how we can use these mathematical techniques to determine the feasibility of our projects, that whether we should undertake the certain projects or not. Then we will also discuss some diagrammatic techniques like per CPM, network charting, and this technique will help us that how we can complete our projects within the minimum possible time. Then there are also some qualitative techniques like linear responsibility charts, work breakdown structures. Now these techniques again are very helpful for the decision making for the project managers as well as the operations managers. Students, we will also discuss some of the important decision making tools, and I will tell you that how we can make the good decisions under the different situations or under the different environments. That may be the environment of uncertainty or risk or certainty. Of course, we will discuss the difference between uncertainty, certainty and risk, and we will also discuss some of the important techniques like decision trees, that how we can draw the decision trees and how this technique will help us to choose the optimal alternative among the different other alternatives. Then learning curve is another important concept which we use in operations management, and this concept is based on the assumption that when we do a particular job, then after the certain repetition of a job, the time required to complete that particular job is gradually reduced. Now this is the nature of the human being, because when we are going to repeat the certain task, the time required to complete that particular task is being reduced, and the particular rate at which the human being will learn that how to do a particular task, that is termed as learning rate. So we will discuss the concept of learning rate, and we will discuss that how this concept will be helpful for forecasting and for estimation purposes. Then students, another important issue in operations management is inventory management. Inventory management is again have the strategic importance on the profitability of the organization, and in this particular topic we will discuss the different types of inventories and how we can reduce the cost of inventory or cost of handling the inventory with respect to the different techniques. So quantitatively we will try to prove that how we can minimize the inventory related costs, Then students, the next topic is operations strategy in a global environment. As you already know that there is an emerging trend of globalization, so we will discuss the importance of operations strategy with respect to that globalization, and we will try to develop the different strategies that how the operations manager will be able to opt for the best international strategy so that the ultimate objectives of the organization may be optimally achieved. Then students, next important topic is location strategies. Again, sometimes location plays a very important role in achieving the strategic objectives of the organization, and again we will discuss the different factors which should be considered by the operations manager while deciding about the location of the different production facilities or the distribution points. And we will discuss that how location can give you the competitive advantage. We'll also discuss some again diagrammatic as well as quantitative techniques that by using the certain calculations and figures and facts, how we will be able to find out the optimum location for our organization. Next is the layout strategies. Layout strategies again are concerned with the particular layout within the organizational setting. That may be the office layout, that how the different furniture or the different work placement should be set so that the communication within the organization may be improved and the different material can be efficiently and effectively handled. Similarly, there are many other types of layout. We will discuss all of these types of layouts, and we will discuss that how these layouts may be helpful for the operations management and operations manager to achieve the predetermined objectives of the organization. Then students, supply chain management, again a very important topic in operations management, and in this particular topic we will discuss that how we can manage the different activities right from the procurement of the raw material up to the achievement and production of the final products and services. So these activities are sometimes so important for the organizations and managers that these always can be helpful for achieving the better profitability for the organization. Then another topic we will discuss in this subject, that is about the human resources and job design. And let me tell you students that human resource is the ultimate source and ultimate source of competitive advantage actually, which is so helpful for achieving the competitive needs of the organization. And of course, without the efficient and effective utilization of our human resources, we would not be able to manage our operations. So is the importance of human resource. And with the human resource, we will also discuss the job design issues, and we will discuss some important characteristics of jobs, that how we can design the contents of the jobs so that the employees may be more motivated and ultimately the profitability of the organization may be enhanced. So my dear students, this is the brief course outline I just have discussed with you, and of course there will be separate lectures for each of this topic. And but at this point I would like to tell you that there may be slight changes in the different topics I just discussed with you, and the ordering of the different topics may also have been changed, but of course we will try to cover our course. But of course we will try to cover all of these important topics which again have the strategic impact in this subject of operations management. So students, after this course you will be able to learn the operations management techniques that could be applied to the real world problems. So that is the ultimate purpose of this subject, that you should be able to apply all of the important techniques which you will learn in this particular subject in the real life problems. and you will be able to understand the strategic role of operations management in creating and enhancing the firm's competitive advantages, and you will be able to understand key concepts and issues of operations management in both manufacturing and service organizations. Your analytical skills and your problem solving tools may be enhanced if you are being able to learn these operations management techniques. Again, it is very important for you people to learn that at what situation a particular technique of operations management should be applied. So it is also helpful to understand the operations management results and draw the correct conclusions from them. So again, the students, this is very important that by the application of the certain technique, if you conclude something, you should rightly interpret that conclusion, and this is so important in the practical decision making when you are working in the different organizations. So this is these are the different points you will be able to achieve at the end of this course. Students, there are 3 books I would recommend for this course, and of course I will not cover all of these books 100%. But it is always good at this level to consider 2 or 3 books so that you can have a command on a particular topic. One book is Operations Management by J. Heizer, Barry Render and Jagdish Rajeshkar. I will cover almost 60 to 70% of our course content from this particular book of Heizer. And the second book I would recommend is Operations Research, an Introduction by Hamdi A. Taha. Another book is Operations Management by William J. Stevenson. So only 10% I would take from this particular book of Stevenson, and from the Operations Research by Taha I would take some important topics like linear programming, transportation problems and assignment problems from this particular book. So 20 to 30% will be taken from this particular book, as well as I would also take some material from internet, and that is again a very important source of information. So you should at least have 1 or 2 these books, and of course you have the slides and the material with you, and you should always go to the internet and try to conceptualize what we learn in this particular subject. These are the images of the different books I just told you. This is the Operations Management by Heizer. You can buy any of the latest edition. This is Operations Research by Taha, and this is the Operations Management by the third author, that is Stevenson. So students, I will deliver lectures on all of the topics I just discussed with you. Then most importantly, there are some specific requirements on for this course. That is, you'll have to submit the assignments timely, and most probably there will be 4 assignments, and each assignment may be given after every 7th week. That is 7th week first assignment, 14th week second assignment, and thereafter at 21st week and 28th week. Similarly, there may be the 4 quizzes, and most probably the quizzes would have to be submitted at every 6th lecture, that is 6th, 12th, 18th and then 24th. There will be 2 sessionals for this subject, and most probably again the sessionals may be at the end of 10th lecture, and the second sessional may be at the end of 20th lecture, and finally there will be a final paper. Your quizzes may be the short questions, maybe the multiple choice questions, and in assignments there may be the problems that may be the qualitative problems or quantitative problems you'll have to solve. So you will have to be very careful about the schedule you have been provided by the ComSets in order to submit your assignments and quizzes. Again students, you may have the marks distribution as 10% for the quizzes, 10% for the assignments, almost 25% for the 2 sessionals, 50% for the final paper, and 5% for the graded discussion. So This is not the final schedule, but I'm telling you at this point, so you may be having something in mind that you'll have to go all of these things. Students, let's start our today's topic, that is Introduction to Operations Management. This is our outline for today's lecture. That is, we will discuss about the management. That what is management? Again, of course, most of the people must already know that what is management, but again we will discuss this definition. But again we will discuss this definition from a particular perspective. Then we will discuss that what are the operations and what is the importance of value addition in operations management. Then what are the operations interfaces, that how the operations interface with the other functions and with the other departments of the organization. Then we will discuss some of the definitions of operations management. Then we will discuss some of the nomenclature and some of the terminologies we generally use alternatively for the operations management. Then we will also discuss some of the differences between goods and services. We'll also discuss the responsibilities of the operations manager, and then finally we will discuss some latest trends in operations management. Now students, what is management? Management is the scientific study which is concerned with the different activities. So management is what? It is a science. Management is also a science like physics, like chemistry, like mathematics. There is a lot of debate about this concept. Some theorists say that management is a science, and some theorists say that management is an art. But there is a general consensus about that management is also a science. So आपको पता है कि आपके जो departments है different universities में, the name of the department is also management science. Now what is science? We will discuss that, why we say that management is a science. So management is a scientific study which is concerned with the different activities. Now what are these activities? That is post-scope, that is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, controlling, reporting and budgeting. So all are the different activities of management. Some other theorists define 5 activities of management. किसी ने इसकी 10 activities बताई हैं, और किसी ने कहा there may be as much as 30 or 100 activities of management. But these are the most general activities of management. And what is the purpose of all of these activities? That is to maximize profit, to minimize cost, so that we can achieve productivity. So these are the predetermined objectives for every organization, and especially the business organization, that we are always interested to maximize the profit or to minimize the cost, so that we can achieve the profitability and most importantly productivity. So students, let's discuss that why we say that management is also a science. Now this concept is so important, especially with respect to the operations management. Now there are many characteristics of science, and one of the most important characteristic we discuss in management about science, that is we are always interested to take particular decisions on the basis of certain facts and figures. We are always interested in the different mathematical calculations, in some statistical calculations, so that we can take the optimal decision, which is not based on the manager's tradition or manager's own experience or observation, but it may be based on the certain facts and certain calculations. Now these sort of decisions are not challengeable in management, because we are not taking these decisions, but there are certain facts and calculations behind their decisions. So important is this type of decision making, and because of these facts and by taking into account the different mathematical and statistical calculations for decision making, we say that management is also a science. So most importantly, in operations management, in our subject, I will tell you and I will discuss with you the different techniques, that how we can use the different mathematical techniques, different statistical techniques, and most importantly sometimes the different diagrammatic techniques can be helpful in taking the better decisions in the organizational settings. So one of the concepts related to management and science is that what I just discussed with you. Now students, what are the operations? Operations consist of activities related to the production of goods and services. So all the activities which are involved in the production of goods and services that are termed as operations. There may be the goods oriented operations and there may be the service oriented operations. Goods oriented operations consists of manufacturing and assembly operations. Now, these are the sort of operations in which we are interested in the production of some physical and tangible output or goods. There are some other operations like service oriented operations, and these service oriented operations consist of healthcare operations, transportation, education, retailing. So as a teacher, I am actually providing you a service and not a sort of a physical product. So when we talk about the different operations, there may be the physical goods or the tangible goods, there may be the intangible services. So the operations management is concerned both with the goods as well as with the services. So operations function is the core of most business organizations. The inputs are converted to the valuable outputs after the transformation process. So the operations management is sometimes considered as the most critical function within the organization. Now what is the reason? Because this is a sort of function which should have a sort of interface with all the other functions and with all the other departments, and ultimately what we do in these operations, we get some sort of raw material as input and we process that input by using some transformation process or some conversion process, and finally what we have the final goods or services which are to be delivered to our ultimate customers so that their needs may be satisfied. So as we are going to serve the customers by that production process, so this operation function is important in this particular sense, that it may have interrelated with all the other functions so that we will be better serve our customers. The ultimate objective of the operations is to have a sort of value addition, that how we can add the value to our inputs and to our raw material by using the most efficient and effective transformation or conversion process, so that we can have the quality goods and services at the end. So this whole process is actually related to the operations. And again, there are some other concepts which we used in this input conversion into the final outputs. That is the controlling process and is the feedback process. Controlling is so important because that is the most important activity of management sometimes, which helps us to find out the deviation between actual performance and the desired performance. So sometimes we are always interested that what is the difference between what we actually did and what we actually wanted in our planning stage. So this controlling will help us to find out this deviation between the actual performance and the desired performance, and accordingly we can take some corrective action so that our future outputs may be produced more optimally. So that is the main function of controlling, that we'll have to give the corrective action to our inputs so that in future, after that transformation process, the quality goods and services may be ensured. Similarly, the feedback is another important concept which is used in this particular setting, and feedback means we'll have to provide the feedback whether we are going according to the benchmarks or not. Again students, there may be the different types of feedback. One is the forward feedback and one is the backward feedback. Now backward feedback means when inputs are being there, they are being transformed, and finally the goods are being produced. Then finally you can give the feedback to the inputs that how you can improve your outputs. But that is not the right approach, and we always prefer the forward feedback. You can see just at the transformation process, if something is going wrong, you should or operations manager should immediately give the feedback that what is going wrong and how we can improve this particular aspect. So this sort of feedback which is timely given during that process of production, that is always preferred in this organizational setting. So the value addition is the most important thing, that how much we are able to add value to our raw material or inputs to give the quality products to our final customers. Now let's take the example of this food processor. What is our inputs in this particular case? The raw vegetables, then metal sheets for packing, then water for the cleaning of those vegetables, energy sources like gas, labor, building equipment. All of these are the different inputs which will be used to process these vegetables, and the processing activities may include the cleaning of the vegetables, making the different cans so that we can store our final processed vegetables in those cans, then cutting, cooking, packing, and labeling is involved. So all these are the activities which are involved in that processing part of this operation. And finally, we can have the canned vegetables which can be supplied to our final customers. So this is the way the different operations work in the organizations, that we have some input, then some transformation or processing process, and finally we have some final outputs in the form of goods and services. This is the hospital process, students. These are the inputs, and again we can have the examination, surgery, monitoring, medication, different tests as the different processing activities, and finally the objective is to have the healthy patients. So this is again another example of operations in the hospital setting. So let's discuss the function of the operations manager. Now, what is the responsibility of the operations manager? He should be responsible for all the different operations, right from the input point up to the final production of the goods and services. So all of the activities included, right from procurement of the raw material and up to the final delivery of the goods and services to your customers, all the activities are actually the responsibilities of operations manager, and he will have to have coordinate all of these activities so that we can achieve the predetermined objectives of the organization. So this is the main function of operations manager. And again, students, what we actually want in this particular operation, we are always interested, or the operations manager is always interested to add value. The more valuable our goods and services at the end of the production process, the more profitability will be for our organizations. So it is always important for the operations manager that how they can add value to their products. Now, why organizations need operations manager? An operations manager controls the processes by which value is added from conversion of inputs to outputs. As I just have discussed, that this is the responsibility of the operations manager, that he should be vigilant that how we can add the value to our products right from the input stage up to the final stage, so that our customers may be satisfied. So students, after discussing the operations and the responsibilities of operations manager, let's define the operations management. But before defining the operations management, let me define the production first. Production is the creation of goods and services. So this is again, students, a very important point, that production is just related to the output, that is the creation of the goods and services. But when we talk about the concept of productivity, the productivity is different from the production, because productivity takes into account both the output as well as the input, that is the efficiency plus effectiveness aspects of something. So when we talk about the production, it means we are just talking about the creation of the goods and services. And the operations management is the set of activities that creates value in the form of goods and services by transforming inputs into outputs. Again, as I told you, that this operations management includes all the activities that creates value in the form of goods and services by transforming the certain inputs, using the transformation or some conversion process into the final outputs which are actually being desired by our customers. So again, students, the management of systems or processes that creates the goods or provide the services is the operations management actually. And you already know that there are different functions and there are different departments in the different organizations, and operations department may be one of the important department. But what happens that all of these departments cannot work in isolation with each other, and there should be a sort of a collaboration, and there should be a sort of teamwork, and most importantly there should be a sort of coordination among the different functions and departments. And operations department is one of the most important department which can play a very important role in creating a sort of interface between the different departments and in creating a sort of coordination between the different departments. So is the importance of operations management, that all the departments ultimately depend on the operations. Now students, again, as I told you that there are the different functions and different departments in the organizations, and you know that the finance department or the accounting department is ideally responsible for the allocation of the different resources, that how the different resources can be effectively and efficiently utilized in the organizational setting. And they are always interested in the different investment decisions or the different financial decisions, and they are going to prepare the pay bills, and they are going to collect the money from the customers. And so this is the main function of the finance department. Similarly, the marketing department is said to be the frontline department in every organization, because marketing personnel have the direct interact with the customers. So sometimes I say that this is the frontline activity, and this is the activity which actually generates demand for your goods and services. Then again, production or the operations creates the product, or they involve in the activities which are actually involved in the production of the goods and services. But what happens, students, whether it's the finance department or marketing department or any other department, they cannot work properly without having a sort of interface with the operations department. Now suppose कि आपके operations में कोई losses start हो जाते हैं. Now what the finance manager will do, he may have gone to some bank and request them for the different funds so that our operations may be enhanced. So in that particular way, you know, that finance department is linked with the production department. Similarly, if the marketing personnel have a sort of interaction with the customers, and they find out that what important characteristics or features our customer wants in our goods and services. So what the marketing manager will do, he will have to go towards that operations manager, that these are the features and these are the important benefits which our customer wants. So again, the operations manager will have to take the action in order to meet that particular demand. So what I want to tell you, that this is a sort of interface between the departments, and the different departments cannot work in isolation and cannot work having the good relationship with the operations department. And this is the importance of this operations department. Now this is what I discussed with you, that there are different functions and the different departments like procurement department, accounting, personnel department, that is the human resource department, public relations department, whose main purpose is to build the good image of the organization before the society. MIS department responsible for the collect, MIS department which is responsible for timely collection of the information and disseminate the information to the right person so that he can take a good decision. Then maintenance department and industrial engineering, assembly and electronics department. So all of these departments will have to have the interaction with the operations manager. Otherwise, if there is not a coordination and there is not a interface with the operations manager, the organizational predetermined objectives cannot be effectively and efficiently achieved. So let's discuss another important definition of operations management. Operations management is the area of management which is concerned with the administration of business activities, especially overseeing. Now again, that is overseeing is related to the forecasting, designing and controlling the process of production set of activities that creates value in the form of goods and services by transforming inputs into the final outputs with maximum level of efficiency, ensuring profitability for the organization. So students, again, the ultimate purpose of operations management is to coordinate the different management activities and to control the different activities in order to convert the inputs into the final outputs through a conversion or the transformation process, so that we may be able to deliver the valuable products to our customers, so that our customers are satisfied. And of course, if our customers are satisfied, that will have the impact on the long-term viability and the profitability of the organization. So this is what about the operations management. There are the different terminologies which have been used in operations management. Initially, when this subject was introduced, we used the term production management, and it was thought that production management is only related to the production of the physical goods, and this was the domain of industrial engineering and mechanical engineering. But later on, the theorists agreed upon the point that production management or the production and operation management is actually involved both in the production of goods as well as the services. So production and operations management, POMA, sometime that term is being used. Then operations management is used. Then operations research, another terminology is being used with that operations management, but there is a difference between operations management and operations research. We will discuss some of these differences, but there are always green areas and gray areas, I would say, between the operations management and operations research. There are different topics which can always be discussed under the domain of operations management as well as the operations research. Operations research is the development and collection of techniques based on mathematics and other scientific approaches that find solutions to hard problems. So operations management is actually related to the development of different tools by using the concepts of science like mathematics and statistics, and the development of these formulas is actually more related to the operations research. Operations research relies on mathematical modeling, and operations management relies on practical scenarios and industrial cases. So the formulation of the different formulas is actually the responsibility of that operations research domain, and how to use those formulas in the industrial setting in order to achieve the certain objectives, that is actually the domain of operations management. Then sometimes we say that operations research is the domain and tool of engineers, in which we are interested in development of the different mathematical modeling or formulas, while operations management is the domain of managers. So this is how we can differentiate between operations research and operations management. But again, students, I would like to add here that there are some topics and there are some issues which can always be discussed under the domain of operations management as well as operations research. And what I think that there are some different approaches like mathematical modeling approaches, transportation models, assignment models, which are basically included in operations research, but that should have been discussed when we are studying the operations management, because these are so important techniques that can always be helpful for the managers to take some very important decisions. So operations management is one of the three major functions, marketing, finance and operations, of any organization. We want and need to know how goods and services are produced. We want to understand what operations managers do. So this is the reason we are studying this subject of operations management. So operations management is considered as the costly part of an organization. It means that if we are not going to make our operations efficient and effective, it will add cost to the final products and services, and ultimately that will affect the final ultimate objectives of the organization. Now students, what the operations managers do, they actually perform all the activities of management, like planning, what to do, when to do, how it will be done, when it will be done, and to define out the projective course of action in order to achieve the predetermined objectives of the organization. He will have to take out the organizing activities, that is defining the organizational structure in a way that the objectives can be achieved, then staffing right person for the right job, and how to fill the positions in the organizations efficiently and effectively. Then leading is again concerned with inspiration and motivational factors, and controlling, again, as I told you, that it is mainly concerned with finding out the deviation between the actual performance and desired performance, and then taking the corrective action to improve the performance. So these are the different activities which have to be performed by the operations manager. Now, planning activities are mostly concerned with the capacity, that is the utilization of the capacity available in the organization, location strategies, products and services, make or buy decisions, layout, projects and scheduling decisions. Controlling activities are related to the controlling of the inventory and quality control. The quality control, another important aspect of operations management, that how we can control the quality and how we can provide the quality products and services so that our customer satisfaction is either met or ideally it should be exceeded. Then organizing activities like degree of centralization and decision making pattern within the organization, then subcontracting, then staffing activities like hiring and use of the overtime, directing activities like having the different incentive plans and having the different job assignments so that our people are more motivated. So all these are the responsibilities of the operations manager. The critical decisions the operations manager will have to take, that is about the design of the goods and services, that what goods and services should we offer and how should we design these goods and services. Then how should we first define the quality, and how we will be able to achieve the different quality standards, and who is responsible for the quality. And ideally we say that the whole of the organization, all the departments, all the functions, all the individuals are responsible for maintaining the quality in the organization. Then process and capacity design, that what processes and what capacity will these products require, and what equipments and technology is necessary for these processes. So these are the different activities which are related to the process and capacity design. Then again we'll have to take out the location strategic decision, that at what particular location your factory will be located, or your distribution point will be located at what part of the world, so that you can achieve the objectives of the organization more efficiently and effectively. Then there are some layout strategies, that how to have the layout of the different offices and the warehouses so that we can better achieve our objectives. Then human resources, again a very important resource for the organization, which is ultimately responsible for achieving all of these things we are talking about. We'll have to take the decisions about the human resources. Then we'll have to take the decisions about the different characteristics of the jobs, that how we can make a particular job more attractive for our workers so that they can be more motivated towards their working. And of course the objective is to achieve the ultimate profitability for the organization. So these are some of the critical decisions which the operations managers will have to take. Then he will also have to take some supply chain management decisions, that should we make or buy this component, or who are our suppliers and who can integrate into our e-commerce programs. So what should be the relationship with the suppliers, whether we should outsource something or we should make on your own. These are the activities related to the supply chain management. Then different inventory related requirements and planning and just in time requirements, that is you'll have to produce just the demand is there. That is the concept of JIT. We will discuss this concept in detail. So these are some of the critical decisions which the operations manager will have to take out. Again, there are some intermediate and short-term scheduling decisions, and there are some maintenance decisions, that who's responsible for maintenance and when do we do the maintenance. So students, there are some emerging challenges before the operations manager, and now we are moving from that local or national focus towards global focus. Now we are thinking that how we can operate globally in order to achieve our objectives in a better way. Then rather than the batch shipments, we are interested in just in time, that is we'll have to produce just when the demand is there, so that we can reduce the inventory cost. That is the ultimate purpose of this just in time concept. Then instead of using low bid purchasing, we are preferring now the supply chain partners, that we should have the partnership with our suppliers, so that by the collaboration and coordination with the suppliers, we can better achieve our objectives. Then lengthy product development is now has been changed into the rapid product development and alliances. So the rapid जो आपका लाइफ साइकिल है प्रोडक्ट का, वो आपका लेंथी होने की बजाय अब शॉर्ट हो गया है, and after a particular time period you will have to modify and innovate your product. So that is meant by rapid product development. Then instead of standardized production, we will have to have the mass customization. That is, we will have to produce the different products according to the different requirements of different customers. And again, job specialization ki bajaye, we are now focusing on empowered employees and team working, and this team working plays a critical role in achieving the organizational objectives. Then students, let's discuss some of the characteristics of goods. Goods are always tangible products which can be touched, which can be felt, and again there is a consistent product definition. If you have the different homogeneous products, we can easily define that what are the different specs and what is the specific definition of that particular product. Then production usually separate from consumption. That is what we do in production of the goods. We can produce and we can store these particular products that are actually tangible in nature. We can inventory the different products, and the different products can actually be stored. Then in case of production of products, we may have the lower interaction with the customers. So these are some of the characteristics of goods. Let's discuss the definition of service. Services are deeds, processes, or performances. And services are time perishable, intangible experience performed for the customer, acting in the role of a co-producer. Now students, let's take an example. Let's you want to have a car wash, and what you do, you go to some person for car washing, and he will give you the car washing facility. Now suppose if you have some health problems, what you do, you go to the different hospitals, and the doctors will treat you and give you the certain services. Then again, if you want to have the haircut, again you will go to some salon, and you will have that services. Now why I am giving this example? Because actually all of these different examples actually involve a sort of interaction between the two parties. So services actually involve the intangible interaction between the two parties, and sometimes we can also say that this intangible interaction between the different parties is the service. So that's why we say that it is time perishable and intangible experience between the two different parties. Now the characteristics of service, these are the intangible products, may not be necessarily in some physical form, produced and consumed at the same time, and often unique. The different services can easily be differentiated with one another, but the different products may be in some sort of standardization. So the services cannot be produced and then stored. They will have to be consumed at the same time. In case of services, because this is a sort of interaction between the two parties, there will be high customer interaction with respect to the physical products. Then inconsistent product definition, we cannot have the similar sort of definition for the different services provided by the different service providers. Then often knowledge based, often the different services being provided by the service providers, that is based on the unique knowledge that service provider has, then frequently dispersed. Like physical products, we cannot have this sort of market for the similar or homogeneous products. That is not the case with the services, of course, that are frequently dispersed, and you can have the different services at the different dispersed locations. So students, these are some of the differences between goods and services. But actually what happens in reality, that we cannot sometimes segregate the different products and services. Now if we talk about this steel production or automobile fabrication, then actually what happens, that it is more goods oriented and less service oriented. But if we talk about the teaching, as I am teaching you, so this is more related to the service rather than the different products. But in certain cases, when we talk about the auto repair or appliance repair, what happens, that the service provider is also providing you the service, and maybe some physical and tangible product is also involved. So sometimes it is very difficult to segregate the goods and the services, and sometimes the products are the combination of the different tangible goods as well as the intangible services. So this is a graph which can help you to find out the different situations where there is a combination of the different tangible products and intangible services. Students, there are some ethical and social responsibilities on the part of the operations manager, and this is the most important challenges faced for the operations managers today. He will have to develop and produce the safe and the quality products. He will have to maintain a clean environment. Providing a safe workplace ultimately will help the organization in order to achieve the predetermined objectives. And also we will not have to consider only our customers, we will have to ideally consider the whole community. So this ethic and social aspect may not have the short-term profit, but of course these are the concepts which can have the strategic impact and the long-term impact on the viability and the profitability of the organization. So students, this is the end of our today's lecture, and this was our first lecture for the subject of operations management. And in our today's lecture we discussed about the operations, that what are the operations, then most importantly we discussed about the management, and that what actually the management. And I told you a very important aspect of management, that it is a science, and because it helps us in better decision making by the use of the different facts, different statistical techniques, different mathematical techniques, and sometimes different diagrammatic techniques. The operations manager or the general manager will always be able to have some very good decisions. Then we discussed the role and the responsibilities of the operations manager, that how he will have to create a sort of interface and coordination and collaboration between the different departments, so that they can work like a team, and the ultimate objectives of the organization can be efficiently and effectively achieved. We also discussed some of the important challenges to be faced by the operations manager. So students, I hope you will go through this first lecture, and in next lecture of course we will discuss some important tools and some important techniques I just talked about. So see you next time.